let's talk about persuasion. Oh my goodness, are we going to have some fun on this one. The verbal and non-verbal debate tactics. I absolutely love this section because all the tricks of the trade, all the below the belt techniques that you could possibly apply in debate settings are actually listed here. So let's start right off. Shotgun blast, laundry list, forewarning, turning the tables, direct questions and challenges, direct address. All of these tactics are fair game in debates. Remember, it is all about you showcasing to the audience, to the television audience or the radio audience, that you are superior to your opponent. Just a word of warning, you do not have to learn off by heart every single one of the 30 tactics that they actually propose here to you. It would be lovely if you could just remember 5 or 6, so if you ever in a debate setting that you can maybe outmaneuver your opponent a little bit. The shotgun blast, one of my absolute favorites, okay? So you basically are putting holes into your opponent just like a shotgun would. You are doing forceful, concentrated, multifaceted denunciations of their character. So you're telling them how inept they are, how unable they are, how they stuffed up this one, how they stuffed up that one. That is a shotgun blast. Not to be mistaken for the laundry list, because here we are asking difficult questions, but not just one, many of them. And we don't want to give the opponent the chance to actually answer these questions. Forewarning is also a great one. It speaks to the audience. You're looking into the future and you're basically saying to the audience, just imagine a situation or a scenario where the opponent gets into power. This is what's going to happen. Turning the tables. If somebody comes at you, maybe with a shotgun or maybe with a laundry list, just turn it around. Redirect the essence of the attack to the opponent. What I'm saying is, if your opponent says, what are you going to do for education? You could maybe counter by something, well, at least I'm not going to stuff up the tertiary education sector by taking away the subsidies. Direct questions and challenges, a little bit boring in comparison to the other ones that I just had, but you kind of understand it's a very offensive, a very proactive kind of technique. However, you want to be a little bit careful, because when you are asking somebody direct questions or when you're challenging somebody, they might actually turn the tables on you. Very cute is the direct address. You're not directly addressing your opponent, but the audience. So instead of actually speaking to your opponent, turn to the audience and say, what a joke. Or you can say, can you believe this guy? I know it's a little bit below the belt, but everything is fair in politics. What else do we have? We have flat denials, quotable lines, highlighting evasiveness, closing with a surprise, and the apology or confessional. Easy on the apology and confessional, guys. If you have done something wrong, yes, it can make you seem more humane if you're fessing up to it. However, you don't want to do that as your strategy. What you do want to have are those quotable lines. Remember, we are living in a world of visual and auditory media. If you can get a juicy sentence together that will stick in the minds, not just of the audience, but first and foremost of the camera people and the directors of the actual show, you would probably do well with that, because that's what gets onto the television screens. That's what actually is part of the radio bits and that are going to be circulated after your debate. I quite like highlighting evasiveness. A lot of politicians are very evasive. So why not call them out for it? Or why not say, why are you not answering the question? What do you have to hide? So that would be this particular tactic. I hope you do recall the recency and the primacy effects that you have discussed in your year 1 of communication science. People remember best what happened at the beginning and what happened at the end of an encounter. So if you're closing with a surprise, you could actually make full use of that recency effect. Flat denial, immediately what comes to mind is Shaggy, it wasn't me. And that's pretty much what politicians do, especially if they are being attacked. It would take too much effort, and it also looks shady if you are trying to protest, if you're trying to make good on the attack. So that's why flat denial is another great tactic. Something else that you should consider is how you're going to refer to your opponent. You can say my opponent, which is rather snooze-worthy. Yes, it does bring across the fact that you're not seeing the person as a person, but it's also not very exciting for the people who watch your debate. The title, as in the minister, the president, once again, coldness, distance. However, what it does, it reminds the audience of the responsibility that comes with that title. So if you're addressing a minister as the minister, you are reiterating to the audience that this person should have taken care of certain things, but maybe didn't. If you're using the title plus surname, which is very frequently used, it's just good etiquette, it obviously shows that you have respect for that person and you are observing etiquette. If you're using the first name only, and I'm sure you've seen the bloopers with Sarah Palin asking if she can call him Joe, if you're doing that, you're diminishing your opponent. Not a horrible thing to do. You can also do that if there is a certain warmth between you and the opponent. It showcases that you understand the difference between a personal vendetta and a political fight. You can also refer to yourself and others as we, which is a wonderful thing to do because it showcases that you're open for advice. It showcases that you are inclusive in your thinking. It showcases that you are humane and philanthropic. Not a bad idea. What else do we have? Wit, humor, appeals to commonly held values, rhetorical questions, man with facts, well-informed source. I just want to quickly pick one or two of them. You can go through the rest. They are pretty easy to understand. The man with facts, watch out. I have said in a previous podcast that debaters like to overstate statistics and like to overstate facts. Watch out with that. It becomes very boring for your audience and you rather want to have a nice narration going. Tell a story and infuse your story with these facts. Well-informed source would relate to transfer. You are bringing somebody in who's an expert, you're bringing somebody in who is already trusted, and that can definitely help you out in your credibility rating. Let's move on to our non-verbal tactics. How can you convince your audience in a debate without the use of words? It starts off by shaking your opponent's hands. Trump has a very weird handshake. I don't know if you've seen it. He actually pulls the person in as he is shaking the other person's hand, and it obviously showcases his superior strength and how powerful he actually is, or at least that's what he wants to show. You also want to explore the option of leaving the lectern. Don't get too excited. Usually when it comes to TV broadcasting, there is no such thing. The TV execs make sure that you are not going to move so that they can get the best shot. However, if you could leave the lectern, you could showcase your relationship with the audience, and you could also widen the distance between you and your opponent. Sitting versus standing, once again, it's pretty much up to the directors. It's pretty much up to the people who make this debate possible, the TV people, the radio people, and they will tell you whether to sit or to stand. It is the usual way forward to actually stand. Fun fact, for a political candidate who is rather short, a sitting arrangement would probably be better than a standing arrangement. If you are really short, rather get a little bit of a step behind the lectern so that people actually think that you are the same height. Weirdly, people associate height with ability. Don't ask me why. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Let's finish off with our non-verbal tactics. In terms of the audience positioning, left or right, yes, people have actually researched this kind of stuff, and it says if the audience is on the right, you might have an advantage because most people are right-handed. However, there's a counter hypothesis that says if the speaker is on the audience's left, it's actually better because people are used to read from left to right. Of course, that doesn't apply to all cultures. Eye contact, very, very important, especially when you are being televised. It is a little bit tricky because when you're being televised, you want to look at the camera. However, you also want to look at the audience. It can actually look quite awkward. It can actually look like you're having a bit of a squint. What you definitely want to avoid is looking down. It shows evasiveness. It shows that you have something to hide, and it shows that you have a lack of confidence. Definitely not the kind of associations that you want to bring up. I'm sure you've seen some debaters take some notes. This can be a tactical thing, or it can really just be to jog their memory. Usually it's a tactical thing. You can buy some time with that. You obviously won't forget what the other person has said. And it looks very official. Very important, and the last item on our list. Timing the responses. Chronemics are very important in political debates, especially when you are televised. You cannot just go on and on and on with your response. What is the director going to do? Of course, they're going to cut and put the camera on somebody else. There is nothing worse than that. So make sure that you are giving sound bites and that you're giving responses that are 10 or 15 seconds long. I know this is super frustrating because what can you actually explain in 10 and 15 seconds? But that is the nature of the beast. Television doesn't want you to talk forever. You're going to look more stupid if the camera actually cuts you off. I'm sure you've seen some Oscar speeches where they tell them, please stick to 30 seconds, and then the music starts playing and it's all very messy. So yeah, wow, so many tactics, verbal and non-verbal tactics that you can use. Choose the ones that come easy to you because that's always the best recipe. Whatever feels natural, you should use. That's it for today. Keep on learning.